Hello and welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. This one is going to be a little bit different to usual. I'm going to have a look at the most transferred in and transferred out players in each position. I'm going to give my thoughts on each one. If you like this type of video, I'll make it a weekly thing, so let me know in the comments and let's get into the first one. Okay, so we're starting with the most transferred out defenders, and top of the list is Saliba. This makes complete sense. Saliba obviously went off with an injury in the game against Liverpool, and it doesn't seem like he's going to be back for this next game week. So completely agree with this one. 300,000 transfers out for him, and I don't mind that at all. Wan-Bissaka, obviously West Ham have been really disappointing, but not only that, he lost his place in the last game week to Kyle Walker-Peters, and actually West Ham performed really well in that game compared to the games before that. So again, I don't hate this one. I don't think that the West Ham fullbacks will be bad. I just kind of agree that if Wan-Bissaka is not going to be in the first 11, then there's literally no point in owning him, given that the defence isn't exactly great. So I don't mind that. Frimpong, obviously Frimpong was injured for Liverpool. Now, I think you might have seen something that he's back in training, or the injury wasn't going to be that long anyway. Now, I completely get it if you sold him early in this game week. However, I probably wouldn't have gone early with a transfer. He doesn't look like he'll be back pretty soon. If it isn't for this game week, then completely get selling him, and I completely agree with it. However, we do need to wait and hear some press conference news from the Liverpool manager Arne Slot to decide whether we do buy or sell this week. Well, we're probably not going to buy him, but whether we sell or not. Ait-Nouri as well. He is one that is fit. Man City just have been conceding goals, to be honest. So I kind of get selling him. There are better options for cheaper or the same price. So I do get it. And then Aina, he came back from the international break with an injury. So I completely get the reason for selling him as well. So I do get the reasons for kind of all these top five. If we go into the most transferred in defenders now, so we're looking at Mark Gahey now. I do get this one as well. I don't know whether he was bought early on in the game week 4 window when people thought that he was going to be a Liverpool defender. Not quite sure what people thought about that, but 450,000 transfers in for him this week. To be honest, if he went to Liverpool, he'd have been a great option. At Palace, he's still a great option. Palace defence has been really good. They've kept a lot of clean sheets. 2 clean sheets in the Premier League this season. Not only that, they've also kept 2 clean sheets in the Europa League. So, just a good defence. Senesi is a bonus points monster at 4.6 million. He is an absolute bargain. We didn't quite realise how okay Bournemouth were going to be. I mean, they lost a lot of their defenders. They lost Kirkes, they lost Huijsen, they lost Zabarnyi as well. So we thought that defensively Bournemouth might be a bit of a mess, but they've actually been okay. And Senesi, like I say, is a bonus points monster. So I don't mind this at all. Calafiori is one that I can't really get behind personally. Don't get me wrong. The Arsenal defence and fullbacks in particular, him and Timber, have been absolutely brilliant. They're getting forward a lot. So if he were nailed, then I'd completely agree with it. I just don't think that Calafiori is nailed at the moment, especially given that they've got Champions League fixtures coming up. I think that we'll see a little bit of rotation. I mean, Lewis Skelly is a very, very good left back, so I do think that he will get minutes. It's just whether that's in the Champions League or the league. I'm not sure I'd be buying Calafiori right now, especially given the fixtures aren't even that great. I think we can wait a little bit till maybe game week 7-ish when Arsenal's fixtures get a little bit better to make that move personally. Then Virgil van Dijk, he just makes sense to buy. Liverpool's fixtures are obviously really nice. They've got Burnley up next, then it's Everton. So I think we can quite safely buy Van Dijk, especially if you're selling one of these more kind of pricey defenders that we saw, like Ait-Nouri. I think this is a good move, to be honest. The one I really like though is Munoz. He is ridiculously attacking. We've talked about him a lot last season and this season. Just a fantastic FPL option given how far forward he gets, and given that Palace have pretty good fixtures. They've got Sunderland at home up next. On to the midfielders now. We have Cole Palmer with nearly 1 million transfers out. Now, I do get this. Obviously, he's injured, so there's not much to not get here. So I do get the reasoning. I completely get the reasoning. However, I just think that people have probably gone a bit early on this. I mean, the injury to Cole Palmer we knew wasn't going to be massively serious. So I don't think we needed to. Maybe people were trying to avoid a price drop or something. I don't think we needed to go early on it. It looks like he might be back in training. We will need to hear from Maresca, obviously, but he could actually be back. Maybe not this week. Maybe this week comes a little bit too soon. And to be honest, given that this week probably does come a bit too soon, then I do get the reasoning for selling, because he's 10.4 million now. So you can't really hold someone at that price who's not going to play. So I do get selling him. There's just a world where he might be back fit for game week 5 and you might want him back, but I do get the reasoning. Cunha is obviously injured, so I completely get selling him. 440,000 transfers out for him, and that is warranted. Wirtz is one that I really can't get behind, if I'm honest. I mean, don't get me wrong. So I've got him in my own team. Yes, he has been incredibly disappointing. He's been rubbish so far this season. In the second half against Arsenal, he did show some promise of a good player at least, but in the other games, he really hasn't shown anything. However, I can't sell a player with Burnley and Everton up next. That just doesn't sit right with me, given that statistically, they are the 2 worst defences in the league so far. Yes, it's a small sample of only 3 games, but they are bottom so far for shots conceded, XG conceded, all of the metrics that we look at, they are bottom for right now. So I just don't see a reason to be selling Wirtz. Another thing as well is that with Isak coming in, obviously Isak will take a spot of someone in that Liverpool attack. I just don't think it's going to be Wirtz. I think it's more likely to be Gakpo or Ekitike, and then Wirtz stays in that number 10 slot, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Shirky, I completely get as well. Shirky's actually injured, so that one makes complete sense. Reinders, I don't get one bit. I mean, City's fixtures aren't great, obviously. It's Man United this week. I think it's Arsenal next week. But I just don't really get what we've seen from Reinders that we don't like, or 273,000 managers don't like. Obviously, in game week 1, he got a goal, he got an assist, and he hasn't got any attacking returns since then. But before the season started, in pre-season, the one thing we wanted from him, the one thing that we were worried about was minutes. He's got 3 90 minutes in a row, which is just ridiculously promising. Everything we want to see from him. So, and also, the players that would take his position, there's just problems with. So Gundogan's left, Shirky's injured, as I mentioned, Foden's got some sort of knock. So I just don't think that there's actually any good reason to sell Reinders. Man City haven't been unbelievable, but Man City are going to score plenty enough goals at 5.7 million. I don't really think there's anything wrong with Reinders, if I'm honest. Then we go to the transfers in. For midfielders, no surprises. Jack Grealish is top. Over 1 million transfers in for Jack Grealish. He's got 4 assists in 2 games. So I do completely get the reasoning behind this one. They've got Aston Villa up next, who have obviously been absolutely useless so far this season. They haven't scored a goal. Defensively, haven't looked that great either. They let 3 in against Crystal Palace. So I do like this Grealish pick. I mean, I do think Dewsbury Hall and Ndiaye are just as good. Obviously, Dewsbury Hall's a lot cheaper and Ndiaye's on penalties, but kind of in isolation, I think Grealish is just a nice pick, if I'm honest. Semenyo as well. If you've watched my channel before last season or this season, you'll just know that I love Semenyo. The bloke takes so many shots, and yes, granted, not all of his shots are of high quality. He pretty much just shoots on sight and he just tries to kick the ball as hard as he can. There's no placement involved in his finishing. He just tries to boot the ball as hard as he can towards the goal. A lot of the time that does work, obviously. Sometimes it doesn't, but if he's going to have that many shots, then I just can't see a world where he doesn't score quite a lot of goals. So completely understand this one. Enzo as well, he's been really good. I mean, he has probably been a little bit of a surprise. One surprise is that he took penalties without Palmer on the pitch. We thought it might be João Pedro, but Enzo has been the one to take these penalties so far. or the one penalty they've got anyway. He's also been pretty good for other attacking returns, so I really like him as an option. Gakpo is one that I mentioned a minute ago. I don't think I'll be buying Gakpo right now. I think I wouldn't be selling him if I owned him, because I don't think Isak's going to start this week. But Gakpo could be the guy that drops out for Isak at some point. It could be Isak through the middle. Ekitike could shift to the left, then Vert Salah. I'm not 100% sure that Gakpo is going to be nailed for minutes. That's the reason that I wouldn't be buying him right now. But I certainly wouldn't be selling him, because I don't think Isak starts this week, and I think Gakpo will. And Mbeumo, again, he's just a very good option right now. Cunha and Mbeumo both started really well for United this season. Obviously, Cunha's now injured, but Mbeumo's numbers have been great. He's been on some corners. There's not a lot to not like about Mbeumo, so I think that is a really nice buy as well. Moving on to the forwards now, and we've got Chris Wood top with over 400,000 transfers out. Now, he obviously plays Arsenal this week, which is a terrible fixture, but the fixtures after that are Burnley and Sunderland. You're going to want Chris Wood for those games. Now, Forest, yeah, they've not been good so far, but I just couldn't personally. It's the same as like the Vert situation. I just couldn't be selling a Forest player right now, given that, unless it's Aina who's injured, but I couldn't sell a fit Forest player right now, given that I know they've got Sunderland and Burnley coming up. 2 promoted teams back to back after Arsenal, so I just wouldn't be selling him. Watkins, I own Watkins in my team, and yes, he has been incredibly frustrating. Like I mentioned a minute ago, Villa have just been really, really bad. Really bad. They haven't scored a goal yet, which is really worrying. However, the fixtures are absolutely lovely. So this really is a fixtures versus form debate. I personally believe that fixtures create form. So I'm quite happy to hold Ollie Watkins, but in all honesty, I completely get the point of view from these 320,000 managers that want to sell him. So I can't really say too much about that one, because I kind of get it. I won't be selling, but I do get it. Ekitike, this is probably what I mentioned. People are just worried about Isak coming in. I wouldn't be selling Ekitike this week. I think long term, there is a worry there, because it could literally just be a straight swap, Isak in for Ekitike. I think Ekitike's performed well enough in these first 3 games that he does get plenty of minutes though. And I also don't think that Isak starts this week against Burnley. I think Ekitike will start this game, so I'd hold him for this week personally. Gyökeres, I certainly wouldn't be selling Gyökeres this week. Now, Arsenal's fixtures aren't the best, although having said that, Nottingham Forest haven't looked that good defensively. Last season, they were obviously fantastic defensively. They kept the second most clean sheets in the league behind Liverpool. This season, we haven't seen that solidity from them. So, I don't think I'll be selling him this week. Mark Gui, obviously, he's just a nice cheap option that people are now moving up, given they've got Palmer funds, so I don't mind that. And then we go to the transfers in now. Again, this is an interesting one. Over 500,000 FPL managers are buying Isak. I just wouldn't be doing that this week. I am in the camp that I don't think Isak starts against Burnley. So he is certainly not someone I'd be bringing in this week. I think we can wait at least a week or two to see or to just wait for him to get his first start, I think, and then you bring him in. He hasn't had a pre-season. He's only played 19 minutes of football so far this season, and that was in the international break for Sweden. So, apart from that, he hasn't played competitive football since May. So I just can't see a world where he starts against Burnley. He hasn't had much time with the team because he's been away with Sweden. Yeah, it's not for me, that one. João Pedro, yeah, he's a kind of no-brainer buy, to be honest. I don't really understand how there's 500,000 managers that didn't have him, given he's kind of the most owned player. But Chelsea just look really good. He's going to get good minutes now that Delap's out as well. There's nothing not to like about Pedro, to be honest. Ekitike again. So Ekitike is in the most transferred in and top 3 of the most transferred out. So that is actually a really interesting one, given that I wouldn't be buying or selling Ekitike right now. If I owned him, I'd keep him because I think he starts this week. But I wouldn't be buying him because I think eventually he becomes a little bit of a minutes risk with Isak around. Mateta is one that I just completely get. 250,000 managers bringing him in. I will most likely be bringing him into my team this week. Sunderland at home. Palace look really good. there's nothing not to like about Mateta. And then Haaland, this is probably off the back of him scoring, 5 goals and getting 2 assists in the international break in one of the games. Haaland's just looked on it this season. He's got a hell of a lot of big chances so far as well. I can't think of any bad reason to bring Haaland in, to be honest. The fixtures aren't the best. They've got Arsenal next week, I believe, but still, he's a fantastic option. He's always a fantastic option. But that is all for this one. If you like this video, like I say, do let me know in the comments. Hit like, let me know in the comments, because I'll make it a weekly thing if this is useful. But yeah, that is all for this one. I will see you in the next one.